The first full consensus distributed ledger is a trust machine. But is it 100% reliable? That's a question for later in the episode. But for now, where did Bitcoin come from?
Okay, so hopefully that explained just a little bit about the Byzantine generals problem. If that was a little more complicated, there's this really great video from Sunny Liu. He basically explains the concept in an even simpler term in about a minute. Then you can sort of get the general idea as to why blockchain is so powerful.
I have a way to describe what is blockchain. Okay, so put yourself in a very specific scenario. You want to say "I love you" to some girl, but you only say "I love you" to the girl alone, without any witness. So that's actually a central system, because once you wanted to deny what you said, nobody can endorse that, right? So if you want to say "I love you" to a girl with your friend as a witness, this we call the central system with a backup. So if you want to lie about that, like deny what you said, you also need to convince your friend to lie with you, lie for you. So that's the central system with a backup. So if you want to say "I love you" to a girl, but with random and multiple witnesses, you don't know them, but they are all listening to you, that's blockchain. So if you want to deny what you said, all of the random people will, prove what you said, and you cannot deny them. So that's how blockchain works.
So that was Sunny Liu of VChain explaining that concept in a much simpler fashion. And that's sort of what makes the blockchain pretty powerful, because at the end of the day, we don't need to rely on these centralized third parties to be able to transact value between each other. And Bitcoin is sort of the first demonstration of blockchain technology and what it's capable of. If we even scroll down here to the next slide, the Bitcoin white paper even states that what is needed is an electronic payment system based on cryptographic proof instead of trust, to allow any two willing parties to transact directly with each other without the need for a trusted third party. Bitcoin is the first to solve what was called a double spend problem, where if you were basically trying to spend money you didn't have, how were you able to prove that, and to prevent someone from, say, sending Alice 1 Bitcoin, but using that same Bitcoin as well to try to send it to Bob. Okay, so by allowing blockchain, well, with the discovery of blockchain thanks to Satoshi Nakamoto, which we still don't know who this entity or this person is, we are able to demonstrate the powers of blockchain technology, where there's transparency for everyone. The word blockchain basically comes from the fact that the ledger is maintained by a chain of blocks. And I'll go through that in just a second here about why that sort of makes sense. So nobody actually owns this system. It's very, very difficult for you to shut down. If you read any sort of papers out there about people trying to shut down Bitcoin, it just cannot happen unless you're shutting down the internet, basically. So no government owns this currency. Nobody, not even me, can control this system, which is why it's considered decentralized. Now, how does blockchain or Bitcoin work under the hood? Well, it's basically a chain of blocks that contain information. The information inside can be stuff like transactions. Say I want to send, Phil wants to send Alice a Bitcoin. That would be the kind of data that would be incorporated into these blocks. So the invention of digital timestamping is actually not new. It's not a breakthrough. It was a technique originally described by a group of researchers in 1991 What this allows us to do is it allows the Bitcoin ledger to organize and timestamp every transaction that's happened on the network to basically prevent that double spend, because we know what transactions came first. Okay. And inside these blocks, it contains a bunch of data, and it generates what is called a hash, which is basically like a fingerprint to a block. If you change any information inside that block with all the transactions and stuff, it will dramatically change what the hash is. Now, how blocks link to each other is the fact that these blocks all have information about their previous block. So unless you are able to basically tamper with everything that has happened in the past, it's very hard to basically tamper with the blocks, because each block has a very specific fingerprint and it all links back to their previous one. So this is why when they talk about Bitcoin and blockchain, it's basically considered immutable, because for you to change everything that has already happened, you would need to basically redo all the work it took to get back up to that current block. Okay, so there is another great diagram right here, which basically explains the same concept that I just explained, how every block here has a hash, which is like the fingerprint on the block, and it all links back to the previous block. So this is how you get the chain aspect in blockchain. Okay, so like I said, this is a completely open network, so anybody can just join and participate. Anybody can set up their own node, which is basically a computer that has a copy of this distributed ledger of Bitcoin. So imagine this database now replicated across thousands of computers around the world. That's what basically a node is. And the fact that none of us really singularly control the network, it's basically a consensus through with all these different computers all around the world. That's what maintains the integrity and the security of the system. Okay, so we won't go into too much about the other aspects about like 50% attacks and all that stuff. That would be for more of an advanced course. It's just like the theory stuff behind how you can sort of break a consensus, but we won't be going into that for this course here. So this is sort of what it looks like if you're looking at it like a web. What a centralized system looks like and how decentralized systems look, right at the top right here. Going into Ethereum. So basically, Bitcoin is not a very programmable currency, because the scripting language for Bitcoin is not actually very friendly. It's what's called not Turing complete. What that means is it's very difficult for a lot of programmers to be able to do things other than, transact money between each other with Bitcoin. But what was invented in 2014 was a world computer basically called Ethereum. So this is the one that was launched I believe it was launched in 2014 or 2015, and that's probably where you may have heard of Vitalik Buterin. So what Ethereum does is it sort of takes the blockchain aspect to another level. It takes it to now you can take the guarantees of a blockchain, but now you can sort of incorporate it into what are called smart contracts, which is basically like any contract. You meet conditions A and B, and it basically does this. So you, in essence, have what's considered programmable money. And when it runs on a blockchain, it's theoretically considered unstoppable, because for you to be able to stop Bitcoin, for example, you would have to shut down all of the nodes that have a copy of the ledger in existence all around the world, which is a very hard thing to do. So with Ethereum, it's sort of like taking that aspect of it, but now you're building applications on top of it. So this is why we get what are called DApps, which are called decentralized applications. So the things you can do with smart contracts is being able to do things like decentralizing insurance, and actually I'll scroll down here. There's a bunch of actually cool decentralized applications that are being developed and using the Ethereum blockchain to sort of create that. For example, Augur on the second one is basically a decentralized prediction market. It's like having a betting site where you can bet on anything, but there's no bookkeeper, there's no bookie basically sort of taking in the money. It's all programmed into smart contracts, and they have their own sort of way of ensuring that the system is truthful and all that. We won't be going into that today, but it's just to give you an idea as to the sort of things that Ethereum sort of brings to the table here. You can have things like decentralized identification. You can have provable gambling. You can also have like Digix, which is tokenizing gold. So just having digital tokens, a representative of gold that's locked in the vault in Singapore. But the sort of possibilities are endless. Every single day, there's always some new great idea coming out about how they can basically put a little more transparency and trust into our world. So with that in mind, I'm going to go a little more into the workshop aspects of it, and we're going to tone down a little bit more of the sort of blockchain 101 knowledge, because I do want to get you some seeing some hands-on stuff, which is the most important part to trying to get more people involved in the community. We all know what Bitcoin is, so cryptocurrencies and being able to transact value between each other is pretty much like the first use case of all of this. And with this use case, I feel that it's a little more important for us to focus on how we can enable everyone, or as many people in the world, being able to transact in cryptocurrencies and being able to send money to each other much faster, much cheaper, and that's sort of what cryptocurrencies bring to the table. And if we can get digital wallets and some knowledge as to how to transact in cryptocurrency through the masses, we can really, really help this ecosystem grow. So, so we'll start getting into it here. So as you may have known, there are what are called digital exchanges, which you may have heard of. Examples being like Coinbase in the US, Bitfinex, Binance. You may have heard of a couple of those, but they're basically centralized exchanges. And what they do is it's basically a marketplace for people to exchange cryptocurrency for other cryptocurrencies. And some of them take US dollars so you can buy cryptocurrencies with your US dollars. I'm just going to go quickly into sort of the pros and cons about exchanges and the aspect of you having your own personal digital wallet, which I feel is very important for people to know. So with exchanges, digital assets are under the control of the third party. So when you have cryptocurrency in an exchange, it doesn't really belong to you. What it is it's sort of like an exchange going like we owe you, 1 Bitcoin because you have 1 Bitcoin in our exchange. But the fact that you don't control that Bitcoin, you can't freely, let's just say like you were using like an exchange and it went down, it just went dark. The fact that your Bitcoin is stuck on that exchange now is basically what I'm trying to get at. You theoretically do not have control of your Bitcoin. If you don't have the private key to be able to spend that Bitcoin, which I'll go into a little later, you basically don't really control that Bitcoin. It's almost like when you buy stocks, you don't actually hold the stock in your hand. You're actually trusting a stock brokerage to buy and hold onto your stock for you. So what this means is these centralized exchanges are a huge target for hackers. You may have heard of many of these happening all around the world, Mt. Gox being one of the big ones. But there's a ton out there that have been hacked, and unfortunately there's not a lot of regulation and oversight in this industry yet. So unfortunately, if you lose your funds with an exchange, there's not much that you can really do. So this is why it's very you want to be wary of leaving assets on an exchange. It could be due to hacks. It could even be due to mismanagement. The books don't balance like it didn't in Mt. Gox. So the sort of concept I'm trying to get here is, if you're going to keep your money on exchange, just know that you don't necessarily control it. But the great thing about blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies is that it's enabled you to actually control your own money. It's enabled what's called self-sovereign finance. So you can actually be in charge of your own money. And one of the co-founders of Ethereum, Anthony Diorio, likes to use the saying, be your own bank. You basically are your own custodian now, and your own sort of vault, basically. Now, the trade-off with this is when you use cryptocurrencies and you are taking full control and full ownership of your financial assets, it comes with a lot of responsibility, because if there's something that you don't do properly or what have you, you unfortunately fall for a phishing scam or anything like that, like the responsibility is on you to sort of educate yourself and prevent yourself from being a target for scams and phishing and stuff like that. So that is sort of the trade-off with it. But at the end of the day, you control your own money. And this is partially why I also educate people on this stuff, because you need to know how to be safe transacting with cryptocurrencies. Because it's not like a credit card where you can just call a credit card company and get them to reverse things. It just does not work that way. Blockchains are immutable. Once something happens and it's recorded down by a blockchain, it's essentially irreversible. So just something to keep in mind, which is why we do these workshops. So minimal risk to third-party management. That was our room there. So we'll basically go down and I'll explain to you the difference between public and private keys. So this sort of cryptography, what it generates is it generates a pair of keys. One of them being your public key and one of them being your private key. So imagine your public key as the address to your mailbox. And your private, I hope I said that right. Public key is like the address to your mailbox. The private key is basically like the key to your mailbox, the one that you use to open it and take the mail out. Now, a good way to think about this is public, free to distribute is sort of like the saying I like to go. If it's private, keep it private. That's basically how the public-private key system works. This is how, when we transfer cryptocurrencies and stuff like that, this is how we sort of address them. I want to send 1 Ether, for example, to somebody, but they have to give me their public key so that I can basically send it to their mailbox. Now, for me to spend what's in my mailbox, I need to have the private key to be able to use it, okay? Now we'll go into the difference between what is considered a hot and a cold wallet. So a hot wallet is like the wallet that you carry with you every day, to work. It's basically wallets that are essentially connected to a device that is connected to the internet. So this would be, you wouldn't carry like your life savings or something in your wallet as you go a day out of town. That's sort of the way to think about this. But it's easy to spend, it's easy to transfer money in and out. It's usually very handy, very user friendly. But this is, like a wallet that you would use to, put maybe $100, $200 in, so you can go out and spend it, kind of thing. Now, what a cold wallet is, it's kind of like your safety deposit box. These are wallets that are not connected to the internet. They're usually on an external device, which we'll go into. It's just like a small USB-looking key kind of thing that they're considered hardware wallets, completely separate from your internet-connected device. And paper wallets if they're done properly, and I'll give you a couple examples of that. So why do those exist? Because you need a safety deposit box to store your life-changing amounts of money. You want to store your wealth in something safe that is not easy to get access to. That's why cold wallets exist. So a couple examples of what hot wallets are is like Jaxx, which is a multi-platform, multi-crypto basically phone application. Exodus is one for your desktop. Bread Wallet is also one for your mobile. I'm going to be demonstrating with Bread Wallet today. We'll get that set up on your phone. Just to quickly how to navigate it, go through the setup process with you so you sort of understand how to go through it and what is sort of happening as you go through the flow. There are web wallets. So an example would be mycrypto.com or myetherwallet.com when dealing with Ethereum. Just note, like, all these blockchains are different, so they don't necessarily integrate with each other. So you would never send Bitcoin to an Ethereum address, you would never send Ethereum to a Bitcoin address, that kind of stuff. Just know that they are sort of like their own separate systems. So like, for example, for a Bitcoin web wallet like blockchain.info, Litecoin, Litevault.net, those are a couple examples of web wallets. They basically are wallets that are generated and operated on a website, basically. Then you have what are called browser-based wallets. Brave is it's basically like an Internet Explorer kind of thing, except much better, and it also has its own integrated crypto wallet within it. MetaMask is a Chrome extension. So if you have Google Chrome, that's something that you will install as an extension, and you're able to interact with the decentralized applications online. That's what MetaMask is really good for. So we'll be demoing how to install that and how to sort of stay safe while using MetaMask. So here's an example of what a paper wallet looks like. Obviously, don't use the keys and stuff that are on here, but basically it's like a printout. So your application, say My Crypto, will generate a key pair for you, so that you have a public and a private key on a piece of paper that you basically print and you lock it up in a safe somewhere. The only thing is, like there are certain ways to do this so that you're not on an internet-connected device to ensure the integrity of the paper wallet. We won't be going into this today because it could be a little bit complicated. But this is just another method of storage which actually existed for a long time before these a lot of cold wallets came out. So these are the hardware wallets that I was talking about. These are devices that are completely external to the main computer you transact with. Ledger, Trezor, and KeepKey being the biggest ones out there right now. These are the safest methods of storage right now, only because all the transaction processing and all the key signing, all the private key stuff that you used to like open your mailbox with to spend crypto is all done on a device that is separate from your main computer, which helps prevent people from stealing your keys. It makes it a lot harder. We won't be demoing any hardware wallets in this course, but we will add like an advanced introduction workshop. These are definitely a great tool to have if you have, I would say, even more than like a couple $100, because it's like 120 Canadian dollars to get a ledger, for example. Okay, so now that we have a basic overview of the different wallets that exist out there, we're going to do a demo of installing Bread Wallet onto your phone, because we all know phones are basically the best or the most convenient method. I wouldn't say it's the best or the most secure, obviously, but it is the most convenient for people. So we're gonna go and do this demo first. I have an Android phone, but it should be very, very similar for iOS users. So if you want to follow along, let me know if it's a little bit different or anything like that. But I will show you how to get this on your phone and how you can navigate it. Okay, so I'm going to turn on my phone here. And we have Google Play. So for iOS users, just go into your App Store and you're going to look for Bitcoin Wallet. Okay, so we're just going to install that. And as we go through this process, I will basically show you what a bunch of these features are, just so you can keep yourself safe and know exactly what is happening with your wallet. So let's open it here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a new wallet. If you have what's called a 12-word phrase to recover a wallet, you would do that through here. But because we don't have any, we're creating a new wallet, we'll just create a new wallet. Okay, and then you're just going to set a PIN. Okay, just set it however you like. Oops. Okay, so it needs my authorization here, so I'm just going to turn this off. Perfect. Okay, so paper key. This is what I was talking about with the 12-word phrase. Now, as I was saying before, you are basically a self-sovereign individual with your own financial, with full control of your own financial assets. So this paper key is basically used to restore your device with the access to your wallets. So it's very, very important that you do not show people what these 12 words are. You write it down and you lock it somewhere safe, because this is the only way that you will get access to your wallet back if anything were to happen to your phone. Okay, so for this demonstration purpose, I'm just going to do it on here. Okay, oops. So it's going to show you these words one at a time. Actually, you can't really see it on here because I think it's like a privacy thing. But I'll show you quickly on the phone here. I'll show you different words. I'll go up to 12, and you just keep scrolling towards the next one. Okay. So make sure you write down all 12 of them. So I will do this here right now. So it's pretty good because actually trying to screen share this, I just wanted to show you sort of what it looked like, but it seems like this application that I'm using to try and show you what's on my screen is actually blocking it because of the privacy stuff. So there's the next word and the next word, and just keep going, keep finding, just until you get all 12 words. Cool. So I wrote it on this piece of paper here. And this is what I'm going to lock up safe somewhere so that if I ever lose my phone or something, I drop it and it breaks the screen like it already has here, I can always restore it on another device. Okay, so once you're done, you hit next. It's going to ask you to confirm some of the words on there. So just type it in there. It's asking for word number 5. I'm just going to make sure that I can type on here. 1 second. Of course, technology doesn't want to work when you want it to. Sorry, give me a second here. Don't know why my keyboard is not coming up. Anyway, I got it to confirm, but I'll just show you. Let me get my phone connected back here for you, just so you can see what the interface looks like. Okay, perfect. You know, there's nothing on the screen there right now, but I'll get it to you momentarily. There we go. Okay. Okay, so once you're done confirming your words on there, Red Wallet should bring you to the interface here. So Red Wallet supports a bunch of different cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Ethereum. And I'm just going to do everything Ethereum here as an example. Hey Jordan, thanks for showing up here on from My Crypto. I got your message here. I'm just going through a Red Wallet demonstration and shortly into MetaMask and to My Crypto. All right. So for Ethereum here, usually with this wallet, you'll see that there are 2 buttons at the bottom: send and receive. Basic functions for sending cryptocurrency and receiving cryptocurrency. With every cryptocurrency wallet, you will have the public key, which I had explained earlier. Okay, and if you hit receive, it's going to show you the public key of your wallet. So what this allows people to do is they can scan your QR code, or you can share the public key address with them so you can receive cryptocurrency from them. So this one here being Ethereum. You can see it begins with a 0x and a bunch of random numbers and letters. And if you look at something like Bitcoin, it's completely different. You hit receive here, and the numbers all look different. Bitcoin wallets usually start with a number 1 or a number 3, okay? So obviously, if you start to get used to it and recognize what these public key addresses look like, it's a little harder to screw up. Okay, so because we're doing Ethereum demos today, I'm just going to take the address here, and I'm actually going to share it with myself on email so I can continue with the demo, because I will be showing you MetaMask and My Crypto through the web browser. So then you can basically show, I can show you how cryptocurrency is sent from something like that into your Red Wallet. So I'm going to email this to myself. Okay, great. So I have that sent off now. So now I'm just going to move off of bread a bit. However, if you want to keep exploring the menu at the bottom right, you can add like a fingerprint sort of authorization to your device. You can change your PIN and all that kind of stuff. But basically what you need to know is when it comes to receiving, just make sure that you have your public key address so that someone can send you cryptocurrency. Okay, so going off of that now, I'm actually going to show you a web-based, or sorry, a browser-based wallet called MetaMask. So as we saw up here in the presentation, MetaMask being one of those there. Great. Just going to turn on Google Chrome here. Perfect. Okay, so one of the safety things that I like to tell people is in the crypto world, it's always good to hand type URLs or hand type websites. The reason being is because if you rely on search engines, sometimes they will lead you to what are called phishing websites, which look exactly the same as something that you think you are getting, but is actually not. Okay, so because I know what the MetaMask website is, I will type it by hand. It's actually metamask.io. Okay. I was actually doing a search earlier here today. There was another web-based wallet called My Ether Wallet that I was telling you about. I actually did a Google search on My Ether Wallet. And there was, it's probably not there anymore, but there was an ad at the very top here that said My Ether Wallet, but led you to something completely different. That would have been a great example to show, but I guess they managed to fix that. But those are some of the things you got to watch out for, which is why I highly recommend actually just typing it by hand. Okay. So we're going to get the Chrome extension here. I'm just going to put that in. And a lot of the things that you can actually check out to make sure that it is legit. I mean, this one's got 1,258 reviews. It says it's got like 1 million users and stuff. That usually gives you a good sign that, you know, what I'm adding in here is legitimate. So, you know, there are little things that you can keep an eye on to make sure that you are getting what you're asking for. So we're going to add to Chrome here and click Add Extension. Perfect. So you'll see on the top right here, this little fox icon. So this is how you will use MetaMask on your Google Chrome browser through that fox on the top right corner. Now, I think I mentioned this before, but the great thing about MetaMask is that it sort of allows you to have a digital wallet in your browser. So if you are interacting with, say, a decentralized application on the web, you can use that wallet, which is already attached to your browser. So that's very, very handy. Okay. So with MetaMask, it's sort of like the same process with the 12 words. Just read the terms of use, accept, and you're going to accept. And this is a phishing warning that they put out here. So what had been happening in the past was this extension sort of just popped out of nowhere for some users, asking them to input their 12 words to sort of restore their wallet. You should always be wary about ever typing your 12 words into anything, especially if it just sort of came out of the blue. Like you weren't interacting with MetaMask and it sort of just popped up. So you want to be wary of stuff like that. MetaMask will never initialize on its own without you clicking on the fox on the top right corner itself. So just, be wary of that. Okay. So we'll hit accept. Now, if you're creating a new MetaMask wallet, it's going to ask you to just make a new password, and it's going to generate your 12 words for you. If you already have 12 words, you can click on import existing den at the bottom there. But I'm going to show you how to generate a new wallet here. So we'll just type in a random password here. And we're going to create it. Perfect. So there's the 12 words. Obviously, do not use these 12 words. They've been fully exposed now. You don't want to be giving this wallet away to anyone. So same as before with the bread wallet, take these 12 words down, write it somewhere safe, and sort of lock it up. Don't let anybody see it. Once you do, you're going to click on I've copied it somewhere. You can save it if you want. Now it's going to generate this here basically. So this is your account. It already generated one of the accounts for you. There's some options here where you can view it on Etherscan. I'll be going over that shortly when we transfer cryptocurrency around. You can also get a QR code just like you did with the bread wallet, and that way we can just scan from here. You can copy the address to a clipboard, or you can export private key, which I don't really recommend doing, especially if you're not an advanced user. There's really no need for you to have your private key exposed at all. A good thing that I like to do personally is in terms of verifying the 12-word seed, it's actually pretty useful for you to actually try to take those 12 words and re-input them into MetaMask and see if you come out with the same address. So I'll do a quick demo here for you. So unfortunately, I didn't write down the 12 words for that one, but if you do, you just restore from seed phrase, and then you type in the 12 words, the ones that you got down from MetaMask, and then you want to make sure that you're generating the same public keys, right? So I know that this one here. So let's just say it ends. So I know that this is the address for my MetaMask wallet. I'm actually going to demo this for you in hand. So I'm actually gonna write down my words this time so I can show you what I mean. Okay. This is a very extra cautious thing that I do, but it ensures that the words that you wrote down were written down properly and in order. So now that I have my 12 words, what I'm going to do is I'm going to log out of this. Okay. And then I'm going to restore from a seed phrase. So I'm going to enter those 12 words that I wrote down. Oh, by the way, for anybody that's joining in late, not a big deal. I'm recording this session and we'll be uploading this onto a YouTube channel. So that way, just in case you miss parts of it, at least you can go back and sort of rewatch everything to your own pace. Okay, so now I'm just going to put another password here. Cool. So what I mean by this is now that I've restored this 12-word phrase, I can verify that I'm coming up with the same addresses, the same public keys here. So these look very similar, and to even double verify that, you click on View Account on Etherscan, and they should be The exact same accounts. Perfect. So I know my 12-word phrase is actually proper and it's good. Okay. Great. So as I mentioned before with MetaMask, it's great for your browser because you can interact with other web applications through your browser itself. So now I'm going to get into mycrypto.com, which is a much friendlier user interface. I personally find. Sorry guys, at MetaMask, but you'll see what I mean. But it's a lot easier for me to transact on an interface like mycrypto, and I can show you how to do that with MetaMask. Okay. So actually, what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to input my real MetaMask wallet here for the demo. So I'm going to turn that off, just so I have some cryptocurrency that I can show you with. Give me a second here. Perfect. Okay, great. So I'm going to turn my monitor back on. I have 0.05 Ether here that I'm going to transfer to that bread wallet, okay, that we already set up earlier on our phones. So we go to www.mycrypto.com. Okay, weird, mycrypto.biz. So that's why I say be very careful with typing stuff, because you just never know what might come up. Because mycrypto and all these other sites are open source, anybody can just copy it and upload it somewhere else, change a letter, and pretend it's mycrypto, but it's actually stealing your private key, the key to your wallets. I'm sure if I even did a Google search here right now and I typed in mycrypto, what would come up? Okay, that's good. Because sometimes, like I said before, with the ads, sometimes people will pay for fake mycrypto sites to be listed on here with Google, and people will end up clicking on the wrong one. So a way that you can ensure that you're actually on the mycrypto site, if you actually refresh it, you'll have to go through this dialog, which basically explains a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about. You can see the certificate on the top left with the green lock is good. You can verify for yourself that it's actually the legitimate website. And after we send the cryptocurrency, I'm actually going to show you a extension that you can add to your Chrome to ensure that you're not on a fake mycrypto or MetaMask or whatever crypto exchange or any of those sites. It's actually called an Ethereum address lookup, and I'll show you how to install that shortly. Okay, so we've logged into MetaMask and have my account connected. I'm actually going to use mycrypto to connect to my MetaMask wallet and use mycrypto as a way to send out cryptocurrency. So there are other methods down here that they've depreciated because they are not safe ways to, transact on a web application in the browser. So you can't use a private key anymore. You can't use where called key store files on the actual website. But mycrypto does have an app that you can download onto your computer, which allows all those functions again. But when we get into a more advanced course, you can also connect your ledger, Trezor, and also a parity signer onto mycrypto and be able to transact with it, but that will be for another course. We're going to connect MetaMask. So we just clicked on that. It automatically logged in to my MetaMask wallet, which is the same right here if I just clicked on the box. Okay, so up here on the top, they have a bunch of different things you can do. For us, because we're sending cryptocurrencies right now, we will just use the view and send function on the top here. And it's asking for an address. So just as we did like before, we are going to input the public key address into here. So I did email myself that key. So I sent this earlier from my Bread wallet. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy that address here and paste it in. So Ethereum public key addresses will begin with 0x. And usually what I like to try to do is verify some of the numbers near the end and stuff to make sure it's legit, it looks good. And if you're ever unsure or you're sending cryptocurrency for the first time, always, always, always send a little bit first, just to make sure it got into the right place. Okay. So now it's going to ask us an amount and of what ETH. So if you just click this top button, you can send your entire balance. Now you'll notice here that it doesn't actually send you the account balance as 0.05. Yeah, that's how much I have in my wallet. But there is a concept that needs to be explained, and I'll try to do it as simply as possible. Anytime you utilize the blockchain network to process something for you, such as sending cryptocurrency from point A to point B, you're utilizing the resources of the network. And as you know, nothing in this world is free. So the people that are processing these transactions need to be paid somehow. And that's exactly what ETH is for, or Ethereum tokens. So there's a concept called gas, which is basically what you would set to, how should I explain this? It's basically set so that, by the way, my crypto has a really good write-up on this. But at the end of the day, it's a transaction fee that you set to get your transaction in the block. And depending on how clogged the network is, sometimes you might have to raise it just to get your transaction in faster. Because if there's a lot of traffic and everyone's fighting, you want to try to raise your gas price a little bit so that you can get your transaction faster than everyone else. So a good way of being able to figure this out is through a website called ethgasstation.com, or sorry, ethgasstation.info. Okay, so all you really need to focus on is the recommended gas prices on the bottom right there. There it is. So right now it's asking for a gas price. It's all calculated in a denomination called Gwei. I don't know, there's multiple ways of saying this, but basically right now it's asking for a safe low of 2 if you want your transaction in about less than 30 minutes. If you're looking for less than 5, you want to set it 3. So if you want to set it at 3, you might be able to get it in your transaction through in about 2 minutes or less. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so I selected the entire balance, but once you change this, so you can see that denomination of gas changing. So obviously the more that you raise it, the more you're going to pay in the fee, but the faster your transaction will go through. Now if you decide to go cheaper, you can see that the denomination here on the right is cheaper. You're only paying 1 cent here, but it may take a little longer for it to go through. So based on what Ethereum gas station is telling me, it's telling me if I want to get a transaction through right now in about 2 minutes or less, I should set it at 3. But because I'm feeling rich today, I will set it to 4, just to get this in faster. It probably won't make a huge difference, but okay. So now that I've set that, send the entire balance, it recalculates, and everything looks good, we're going to hit send transaction. So when we do this, it's going to spit out what is called a transaction hash. So every transaction that happens on the Ethereum network, or on any blockchain for that matter, has a unique identifier. So with that identifier, you're able to see from the blockchain explorer what is going on with your transaction. The most popular one being Etherscan, which my crypto it'll show us once we hit send transaction. And it's going to ask you to confirm, make sure that that's exactly what you want to do. Okay, great. Looks good. And we're going to hit send. And it's going to pop up from MetaMask here. It's going to ask you the same thing. Everything is already set properly, so we're just going to hit submit. So once it does that, you'll see at the bottom here, we can verify. So once we click on that, the Etherscan one, it's going to take us to the Etherscan website with the unique transaction hash for our transaction. So this will always be different from everything else in the network. So it takes time for the transaction to really get broadcasted out into the network. So right now it says they're unable to locate it. But if we refresh it, you'll see that right now the transaction is pending. So it's sort of just waiting for the network to process it. And as we learned before, the data inside the blocks themselves will include transaction data like this. And we're just waiting for it to confirm. So once it gets put onto the ledger, it's going to confirm for us, and then we'll see that that this transaction has gone through. So we'll refresh it now. And we'll see that it's still in process. So this is a good way of being able to see what is happening with the money that you just sent to someone. So we're sending it to the Bread wallet now, and this is the way you would sort of keep track of it and make sure everything is sort of working the way it should. So it just refreshed on its own, but we'll go through some of the stuff, the information provided by the Blockchain Explorer. So that transaction hash, which was the unique transaction receipt that we had, is up there. It tells us it was a success, and it tells us the block height. So what the block height is you know how the blockchain is all linked together? They're all numbered. They're all numerically numbered, and they're all connected. So our transaction was included in this specified block, which is 5 million. It's in the 5 million now. It's almost 6 million now. It's crazy. So in block 5994977 is where our transaction lives in that block. And you already see that there's 2 block confirmations. So there have already been 2 other consecutive blocks attached already. So now the network is building and building on this blockchain, and our transaction is getting more solidified through history here. There's also the timestamp of when this block was published, so it tells you when it went through. It tells you the from address, so this was my MetaMask address, and this is the to address, so this is my Bread wallet address, and tells you how much value was sent. So I sent 0.049916 Ether, which is worth about 23 USD at the moment. Some other concepts to sort of understand here is the gas limit. We won't go too much into this because it's a little more advanced, but what you need to know is when you're transferring Ethereum with no extra data attached to it, just Ethereum from point A to point B, all you'll really need is 21,000 in gas. And it'll say exactly how much was used. And it'll tell us the gas price we used and how much the transaction fee costs. So it cost us 4 cents here, basically 4 cents to send $23 from my MetaMask wallet to my Bread wallet. Okay. All right. So that is how you work a block explorer. And as you can see, if we go to the home page here, you can see all the blocks that are being published. So like 12 seconds ago, this block was published. And if you click on it, you can see all the information about the block and all that stuff. You can type in any address. So if I type in my MetaMask address here, I can see all the transactions that have happened. So if I go to MetaMask and I copy address to keyboard and I paste it in here, you can see, oh, look, 3 minutes ago, I sent that Ether into this wallet here. Okay. Oh, well, look at that. I'm going to turn off my monitor here and show you what's on the Bread wallet. So Bread wallet received this transaction. So this is denominated in Canadian dollars right now, so it's showing $30.85. But what matters here is that the Ethereum amount is correct. Okay. So now I'm going to do the reverse and show you how to send it out of your Bread wallet and into back into my MetaMask account, basically. Okay. So with Bread wallet, all you have to do is hit the send button. Okay. And it's going to ask you if you want to paste an address or if you want to scan a QR code. So luckily for me, I have a big screen here on my right, and I can just pull up a QR code from it. You can see here, I'll move this aside right over me so you can see this. I'll just click on this here, and there's a QR code, and I'm going to use my phone here. Perfect. I'm just going to scan the QR code, and look at that, it's all copied in there. So if you want to verify, we'll just tap in here and we'll just verify like the last couple bits. 637449 looks good. Perfect. So I'm going to send my Ethereum back into my MetaMask wallet. Okay. Oh yeah, and you can see here on my MetaMask wallet, there's nothing in there anymore. Look at that. Perfect. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do this. Send it off. We'll do it in ETH. So we'll do the full balance here. So with Bread wallet, it looks like you can only set, you know how with my crypto you can set the gas price? With Bread wallet, they sort of simplify it. So you can just hit regular or economy and it'll figure out what gas price to set it at. So we'll just put in 0.4916, but obviously we can't send that full amount because there is a network fee, which is that gas price we were talking about. Okay. Awesome. So what we can do here is we can actually do a little bit of math, and we can, if I want to send everything out, I can do that, but I'll just send maybe like a little bit. I'll send like, I don't know. Let's get my numbers up here. Let's send like $10 Canadian back to my MetaMask wallet. Okay. So that's it. It's pretty simple. We'll just hit send and it'll authorize. I just need to put my PIN in. And it's going to ask me for my authorization from the phone, which you can't see there. And good. Send confirmation is good. So if you look at the screen here, it's going to say that that's completed. You can show details on the phone here, and at the very bottom it says transaction ID. Same thing. That's the hash ID, the confirmation receipt, the unique confirmation receipt that it generated for this transaction. So if we go back here into the Blockchain Explorer, so this is my MetaMask account address. If you just refresh that, you'll see that there's already another transaction that happened 29 seconds ago. And I think it had already confirmed. Yeah, it's all good. It has 3 block confirmations already. So if I check my MetaMask wallet now by clicking the box on the top right, you will see that there is some Ethereum in there. Cool. So that is sort of a little demonstration about how to send and receive cryptocurrency. And I hope it sort of gave you like a good introduction as to how to set up your wallet, how to, what to expect basically when you're sending cryptocurrency around. Okay. So the other thing that I wanted to touch up on was security. So the great team over at BuyCrypto and a few other contributors created something called an Ethereum scam database. It's actually pretty awesome because, as you may have known, there have been a lot of scams out there lately with people trying to send, or sorry, people trying to steal private keys or steal cryptocurrency by having people participate in some fake giveaway or something like that. So Ether ScamDB is an open source list of current and previous scams that have happened. So if you just go to etherscamdb.info, you'll have access to that. And if we hit active scams on the top there, you can see all of the different scams that are currently active right now. So a lot of the times, if you're ever unsure about anything, you can always refer to this database and see if it's something that has been flagged as being suspicious. So you can always search. You can type in like a domain or something and make sure. The other thing that I want to touch up on is another Chrome extension. It's called ETH address lookup. Okay, so ETH address lookup is basically an extension that was created by Harry, what was his last name? I forget his last name, begins with an S. But anyways, he created this awesome extension that allows your browser to detect these scams straight from your browser. So you know how to install Chrome extensions, we'll just head to Chrome. I'll just give you a demonstration as to what this thing does. So it'll protect you from the known sort of scams and the sort of links that have been blacklisted because it's been known to be a scam and stuff like that. So by having this extension on here, you can protect yourself a little bit more, and just being able to sort of navigate your way through cyberspace with a less likely chance of being scammed. So I'll give you a demo here. If we take one of these active scams, for example, let's just say this fake MetaMask website called metamaskpro.io. Just copy that, and we'll try to go to that website. So what the extension did was it detected from that open source database that this is a fake MetaMask website and it's been flagged. So it prevents you from interacting with it. And I'll give you an example of sort of what it looks like. If you just use an incognito window, we do the same thing where the extension is not protecting you. You can see what the website looks like. You know, for someone who doesn't really know how to navigate the decentralized web just yet, and they see a site like this, I mean, they could be easily fooled, right? So there's no such thing as MetaMask Pro, first of all, and MetaMask font is not red. But here, that's like one of the examples of what the extension protects you against. And we'll do another one. Here's like a giveaway. Let's do like giveaway. So if I give you an example of like twitter.com/Elon Musk or something, we go into like one of his Twitter sort of post, you can probably see like some Ethereum scam bots already posting like special bonuses or giveaways. So nobody will ever give away free cryptocurrency to you. Okay, that's pretty much a given. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. So you can even see, like, when it comes to Twitter, the blue verified badge helps, but it only helps so much. You got to sort of pay attention to like the Twitter handles here. I mean, it says Elon Musk, you know, and like, you know, here's another one. It goes to some random like Russian website here, and it's just really scammy. So there's a bunch of these bots out there right now that are trying to lure people in to try to send crypto, in which they will send you back a lot more crypto, which is not a real thing. So I don't know why they're still doing it, because it might, I don't know, it might still work. But here's another, like, muskofficialgiveaway.com. Okay. Go to this. Our extension should protect us from going onto a website like this, which it did. Perfect. It works exactly the way it should. Now, just for demonstration purposes, we will go. Oh, look at that. It's already forbidden. Maybe there's another website that kind of looks like some crazy giveaway or something. And give you a quick look. Here's one. It's asking you to send cryptocurrency to this address, and you'll get a bonus back. Like, I mean, these look like pop-ups from back in the day, you know, like, it's just, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. So that's sort of my safety spiel, because it's very important to be in charge of your finances online, especially when it comes to cryptocurrency, because literally nobody will be able to help you. If your wallet is compromised in some way, I can't just go to Brad and ask him to help me because my wallet got drained. I probably gave my 12 words away or something like that. There's another safety aspect that I like to do is whenever I'm not using MetaMask is I'll just turn it off. Right? So that way there's some information MetaMask that gets broadcasted with the pages you load, and if the extension is open, then it's just more of a low privacy thing. So I like to turn it off when I'm not using it. And I think that's pretty much it for safety. I mentioned the MetaMask phishing stuff. If a MetaMask ever pops up out of nowhere and asks you to put in your 12 words, don't do it. There's probably a site out there that's compromised it, and you should always, always, always be wary of people asking for your recovery phrases. Okay, so we did the transfer demo, and I'll just get a little bit into how to get involved. So Taylor Monahan is the founder of MyCrypto, and she made this really, really amazing talk, and also like a presentation and a Medium post about how to get involved. So me personally, I don't have a coding background. I went to school for media production. I believe Taylor also went to like film school or something like that. Now she's like running a huge crypto business basically. But the point that I'm trying to get across here is that you can come from any sort of background, any sort of knowledge whatsoever. There is something that you can do to help make this space a little better, a little more well-known, something that can help make this community a lot larger and to help people build faith into the decentralized movement and the crypto ecosystem. So when you see what happened in 2017 and you think you missed a train or anything like that, no, that's not true. Things are still so early. All of the stuff that I've showed you might change, a couple months down the road, and I might have to update this video and do another workshop. But the idea here is that it's still so early, and we need people of all kinds of backgrounds, whether you are a developer or whether you are, an artist. There's something that you can contribute to the blockchain space, and the value of cooperating between like people in this space, especially with Ethereum. The community is just unbelievably collaborative and respectful of each other, and we're all here to develop a better internet for everyone. But we need the power of people. So we need people to believe in the stuff that we're doing. We need people to get a digital wallet in their phones and know how to send and receive cryptocurrency. It's a very important. It's very important to win the hearts and minds of people, because no matter what you build, if you don't have people believing in the product and what you're doing, there really is no value there. No matter what the technology is doing, we need to win the hearts and minds of people. So this is why we actively try to collaborate and try to fight things like Twitter or scam bots and all of that. Because we need this place to be safer. We don't want people's first experience with cryptocurrency to basically be like, oh, I got scammed and I lost like my life savings. That doesn't make that doesn't make you want to come back. So that's why we do these educational workshops. We do this with our free time. I probably never explained like what my shirt means. So I work for a company with 2 other partners called WeTrust. We're a software development company that now works a lot in the blockchain space. This is like, we're always finding different ways to contribute back to the ecosystem. And by doing these free workshops and sort of educating people on how to be involved and how to transact with cryptocurrency and blockchain, we believe that is what's going to give us that sort of value that we need long term. So that's why we do this. I have links in here. Like we're Canadian, so like if you use Quadriga or CoinSquare, hit me up if you need a referral or anything like that. It'll help us out with running things and doing these workshops and stuff. We also run a Slack channel in the Slack community that is basically where I update people on things that are going on with the community. You can basically just go to slack.blockcast.media or just click blockcast.media and just scroll until you see the Slack stuff. You can join our Slack space. I keep it updated with as much information as possible of what's going on with the community and any sort of security things that happen to come about. So I always like inform people right away if something like my Ether wallet gets compromised or something like that. Anything that's important for people to know. If you don't know how to use Slack, I'm not going to demo it here, but feel free to send me an email, Phil at blockcast.media, and I can always help you out there. So the next planned workshop is an advanced intro workshop. So this will be ideally geared towards you because you already have a basic knowledge as to how to transfer cryptocurrencies and stuff. The goal of the advanced workshops is to try to get you a little more integrated with different types of wallets, like hardware wallets, and a little more information about the back ends of how blockchains work and all that. So that one is planned for sometime next month. We don't have a date just yet, but feel free to follow us on Twitter and or Facebook and join our Slack community, and we'll keep you updated about what's happening with that. And let us know how to improve these workshops. We do these for free, and right now we just started. This is our first online webinar. So if you have any feedback about what we can do better, please let me know. And I want to thank you guys for actually coming out and listening to me. I'm going to try to put this on YouTube so that if for anybody that missed it or wasn't able to participate, they might be able to watch it. Yeah, if there's any questions, like feel free to just post them up right now, or we can close the stream and we can set this up in August again for any newcomers that might want to join. So yeah, if there's no other questions, then we can close it up. Just give you guys a second here. All right, that's awesome. Thanks, Jordan Spence from My Crypto is actually here, and thanks for hanging out with us. We really appreciate the work that you guys are doing over there, and keep up the great work. You guys are doing awesome, and to help make the space a bit better for everyone. I'll circulate the link. Which link are you asking for there? The email that we got, which sorry, just trying to figure out which link you're asking for there. The YouTube link, yes. I don't believe we have a YouTube channel yet. I still probably have to create it, but I am recording the stream here. So once I do, I'll probably send it out to you through Facebook, Twitter, and Slack. So you'll definitely be able to find it there. I'll try to do that tomorrow.